Hello everyone and welcome back. I have been getting a lot of questions recently as to whether the original Queen Mary could ever sail again. And this has been kind of an interesting question because it's a question of hypotheticals. I mean, we all know that the city of Long Beach will never let go of the Queen Mary. That's why they want to preserve it for the next 100 years. They don't want to get rid of it. But people have said, why can't it sail again? Why can't it be an ocean liner again? And some people think it'll make a lot more money as an ocean liner. And so basically, let's start off with what happened when the Queen Mary retired from Cunard. So in 1966, it was announced that the next year, Queen Mary would be retired from Cunard. And then soon after, the Queen Elizabeth would be retired from Cunard as well. So what happened was the city of Long Beach was able to purchase the Queen Mary at auction for $3.45 million. And part of the stipulation of the agreement of sale was that the Queen Mary would never again sail as a passenger liner or a passenger ship that could compete with Cunard. Now, obviously, Cunard loved the Queen Mary. The Queen Mary was their flagship. And at the time of the Queen Mary being retired, she was the most famous ocean liner in the world. That's no joke. She really was the most famous ocean liner in the world when she retired, even though today we probably wouldn't name her that at the moment. But because of that, Cunard really didn't want the Queen Mary to compete with them. They didn't want to see some other company operating the Queen Mary as a passenger liner and seeing anything happen to her or seeing major alterations made that would make her unrecognizable in terms of an operating passenger liner. And so that same rule went for the Queen Elizabeth as well. The Queen Elizabeth was also sold with the stipulation that she could not be a passenger liner anymore. She was retired from those services of carrying passengers. But there is one little loophole in that rule, which is that, as you know, she sailed to Hong Kong to be converted as a sailing university. So you might say, well, then how come the Queen Mary can't do that? Well, she could, actually. You see, the rule was that the ships couldn't sail as passenger ships anymore. But floating universities is a different matter altogether. People don't go to universities for fun, they go to universities to learn. And so that is what the Queen Elizabeth was going to be transformed into. And by technicality, the Queen Mary could also be transformed into that. It's just that they can't carry passengers for the purpose of leisure. So it really doesn't make sense to restore the Queen Mary to sailing condition because she technically can't carry passengers. But the other matter of why the Queen Mary pretty much could never sail again actually is more rooted in the fact that the amount of work and the amount of materials and expenses it would take to restore the Queen Mary back to sailing condition would be so expensive it really isn't worth the money. You know, I know a lot of us ocean liner fans really wish that we could sail aboard these ships. I know myself, if I was able to time travel back in time to the 30s or the 50s or the 60s, I would most certainly book passage aboard the Queen Mary because I truly believe I would enjoy myself. But people today, the average tourist who books rooms aboard cruise ships and such, they have a certain expectation of where their money should be going. When they pay an exorbitant amount of money, they expect to get great views of the ocean. They expect to get really modern bathrooms and really modern amenities. Those kinds of things would be hard to implement on the Queen Mary unless you wanted to make her completely unrecognizable. You see, it's not just about what the passengers want, it's also about what current maritime codes require. You see, if the Queen Mary had never been fully retired from passenger service, she might be able to get by today with being retrofitted to accommodate a few maritime codes, but have some others kind of overlooked so that way she could kind of get by. The thing is that the Queen Mary has been retired for more than 50 years now. If they wanted to make her sail again, she would have to abide by the current maritime codes. A lot of those new codes include things like fire safety. Now, there are some structures in cruise ships that are still made of wood, but the Queen Mary has a lot of wood. And for the sake of fire safety, they don't normally allow ships like the Queen Mary to have as much wood anymore. So a lot of that would have to be ripped out and replaced. That wood that's on the Queen Mary is priceless. A lot of it is extinct. There's wood varieties that are featured on the Queen Mary that no longer exist. And furthermore, the Queen Mary itself is so famous and precious that removing all that original wood paneling would actually be really more of a preservation issue. Now, furthermore, there are other things that the Queen Mary would have to get fixed. You know, everything from installing mooring line areas that are lower into the hull, as well as fixing the shear on the ship, also making her more wheelchair accessible, because now that's part of the maritime code, is that passenger ships must be able to be wheelchair accessible on every single deck. The Queen Mary doesn't have that. Even all of her original elevators are too small to accommodate current codes for disability access. So she would have to have all new elevators built and such in order to accommodate people, and as well as ramps and things in various other areas where there are small step-ups to certain places. Now, could all of this be done? Yes, it could, but it would be exorbitantly expensive, more so than what is really profitable. You'd have to think about the profit margins that any company operating the ship as a passenger ship would have to earn in order to make up for this. And so there are some other things too as well that would get in the way of the Queen Mary sailing again. But anyway, all the things I just listed, that's only a fraction of the problems that the Queen Mary would face in order to become seaworthy in the sense of sailing again. I couldn't possibly dream of listing all the details for you guys. This video would be way too long. So just take my word for it. There is a massive list of corrections the Queen Mary would have to take. And by the time she got all those things corrected and fixed, she would be mostly unrecognizable. She probably wouldn't even look like the three-stacker Queen Mary that we see today. She'd probably look quite different and more closely resemble a cruise ship, especially if the company that operates her wants to make a decent amount of money. They would need to actually implement rooms that have balconies, and a lot of them, in order to make up for the costs. Because believe me, rooms with balconies make the most money on cruise ships. And so if they wanted to make the Queen Mary a saleable ocean liner again for the sake of being an ocean liner, she will need to take on some balconies. And so there would be a lot of corrections made to the structure of the ship to accommodate the extra weight, to accommodate the extra spaces necessary to fill the ship. You can't expect that the original second and third class cabins would ever be recreated for an operating ocean liner. She needs to have modern accommodations. So those areas would be completely filled with much larger rooms that we would expect to see today on a modern cruise ship. So there are a lot of factors that would go into making the Queen Mary capable of sailing again as a passenger ship. And among all those things, one of the most expensive things is installing new engines and propulsion systems for the ship. She would need an all-new water treatment plant, all new propulsion systems and power generating, and also she would have to be equipped with modern stabilization, since the Queen Mary was quite famous for being a roller. So in essence, again, what I feel that I have to say is that the Queen Mary would be almost unrecognizable to us by the time she was finished. And really, she really does belong where she is. She belongs as a museum that stays put, that people can explore at their leisure and can learn more about. True, it would be fun to be able to see an ocean liner sail again, but getting the Queen Mary to sail again is not the answer. Anyway, I hope that this video was enlightening. I hope that it kind of shed some light on some other issues in terms of trying to get the Queen Mary to sail again, and that it helped answer some people's questions. Anyway, I'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching. Thank you for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this content, consider supporting my channel by either signing up for my Patreon or to my YouTube memberships. That way you can get exclusive perks in return. Links are in the description below. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.